Let's get right into it. Number 1. The power of a mystery mindset. Ever wonder why some people who barely post anything online instantly feel more interesting than those who overshare every detail of their lives? Ever get that gut feeling? Like there's something they know that you don't? Ever notice how someone who barely posts anything online instantly feels more interesting than people who share every meal, every outfit, and every random moment? It hits you with that weird mix of curiosity and caution, like your brain whispering, why are they so private? What do they know that everyone else doesn't? In a country where oversharing is pretty much a lifestyle where folks drop photo dumps from brunch like it's a public service, someone choosing silence stands out louder than anyone shouting for attention. That quietness creates psychological weight. Humans are naturally wired to fill in blanks, and when a person doesn't show much of their life, your mind builds its own version of them, usually more confident, more composed, and more self-controlled than they might actually be. Psychologists call this the mystery perception bias, and it changes how people see you without you having to lift a finger. Those who rarely post aren't hiding from the world. They're choosing what the world gets to see. That restraint comes off as power, like someone who speaks only when they actually have something worth saying. And because they don't participate in the constant look-at-me cycle, they seem more grounded and more emotionally centered. Mystery builds presence without noise. And people who stay low-key often end up living rent-free in others' minds, simply because the unknown is harder to forget. Number 2. The invisible confidence effect. Have you ever met someone who barely posts online but walks into a room and instantly commands respect? How can someone radiate that much confidence without a single like or emoji backing them up? People who avoid posting their photos often have a deep awareness of privacy. And in the United States, where digital footprints are huge and personal data gets sold like candy, privacy isn't just a preference, it's protection. These individuals tend to think long-term. They understand that every photo shared becomes part of a permanent archive that can resurface, be misused, or be misinterpreted. Their stance isn't paranoia, it's psychological foresight. They recognize that once something is online, it's never truly gone. Many of them prefer real-world experiences over virtual impressions, and they often value intimacy over visibility. They don't want strangers, acquaintances, or distant relatives tracking their lives, commenting on their appearance, or forming opinions based on snapshots. Their privacy mindset comes from wanting to control their narrative. Instead of letting algorithms shape their self-image, they keep their identity rooted in real connections and genuine self-perception. They also tend to have stronger boundaries, which is a sign of emotional intelligence. These individuals know what deserves to be shared and what deserves to be protected. They move with intention, not impulse. And because they share less, they feel less pressure to maintain an online persona. This gives them psychological freedom from comparison, from performance, and from the unspoken competition of social media. Their privacy isn't secrecy, it's self-respect. Number 3. The anti-comparison rebellion. Ever scroll through social media and instantly feel behind someone else's life? How do some people avoid that trap entirely? A large percentage of people who don't post photos avoid doing so because they carry a strong awareness of judgment, criticism, or unwanted attention. This doesn't always stem from insecurity. Often it comes from self-protection. They know how quickly an innocent picture can be analyzed, gossiped about, or silently critiqued. In the US, where online culture is brutally opinionated, many individuals consciously avoid putting themselves in a position where their appearance becomes public property. They understand that once a photo is posted, anyone can interpret it however they want, and that lack of control can feel uncomfortable. Psychologically, these people are often more they think before acting and prefer deeper forms of validation, like meaningful conversations or supportive relationships, rather than digital reactions. They may also have experienced past criticism, family comments, peer pressure, or social comparison that made them more guarded. Instead of chasing approval, they prioritize emotional safety. Many psychologists call this selective vulnerability, the ability to choose who gets access to your identity. And people who rarely post photos master this. They reveal themselves only to those who have earned the right to see their personal life. These individuals often hold higher standards for connection, and they protect their self-worth by controlling who sees their image, their environment, and their moments. This creates a stable internal world where judgment doesn't shape their identity. Number 4, the deep thinker's disappearing act. Ever notice someone disappear from social media for months and wonder what kind of life they're living that's so different from yours? It's interesting how some people barely show up online, maybe one post every few months, but when they finally do share something, it feels intentional, almost heavy with meaning. That disappearing act isn't randomness, it's a psychological pattern tied to reflective thinking. Deep thinkers don't rush to show their every move because their minds process experiences in layers. In a country that thrives on fast takes and instant reactions, their silence can feel almost intimidating. But what they're doing is filtering out noise so they can observe, think, and understand without distraction. Psychologists describe this as having an internal locus of evaluation, meaning they're more interested in their own thoughts than the approval of others. They're less reactive and more deliberate. They pause before sharing because they want their words or photos to represent something real, and that restraint becomes a form of quiet power. When someone like that finally posts, people pay attention because it feels meaningful, not impulsive. Our brains naturally value scarcity, so the rarity of their presence gives it weight. Their digital silence often means they're living more fully, offline, reflecting, processing, and learning. They don't disappear because they're shy or disconnected. They step back because their thoughts need space, and when they return, it's with something polished, intentional, and grounded. In a culture where constant posting can look like desperation, their selective presence feels like confidence. They remind us that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is pause, think, and show up only when it counts. Number 5, the selective trust reflex. Ever think twice before posting a picture because it might come back to haunt you someday? Who decides what's safe and what's not? It's wild how one single screenshot, a harmless picture, or an old post can circle back years later and cause real damage. That's why some people operate with a psychological instinct known as selective trust. Before they hit post, their brain automatically runs through risks, consequences, and long-term impact. This isn't paranoia, it's emotional intelligence in motion. In modern American culture, where oversharing is seen as normal and transparency is often mistaken for authenticity, the people who hold back come across as more self. They understand the permanence of digital footprints. They know the internet never forgets, even when you want it to. Psychologists say people with higher impulse control and stronger self-regulation tend to be more cautious with what they share. They subconsciously assess whether the post is safe, who might see it, how it could be interpreted, and whether it aligns with the version of themselves they want to maintain. They're not hiding, they're protecting. They save personal experiences for trusted people in real life, rather than the unpredictable chaos of online audiences. This selective trust makes them appear more composed, calm, and intentional, while others end up in unnecessary arguments, drama, or stress. These individuals avoid digital conflict by keeping their private life actually private. They value mental peace over public approval. And in a society where personal information is treated like entertainment, being selective becomes a powerful psychological shield that keeps your identity, emotions, and reputation safe. Number 6, the offline connection instinct. Ever notice friends at a restaurant more focused on their phones than each other and wonder if you're the only one actually living in the moment? Think about how often you see groups of people hanging out together, but instead of connecting, they're all busy recording proof that they're having fun. The moment becomes less about the experience and more about the audience watching it. But some people choose a different path. They stay offline, not because they're antisocial, but because they crave real presence. Psychologists call this the offline connection instinct. These individuals value genuine interaction over digital validation. They understand that real communication hits deeper recontact, tone of voice, shared laughter. Neuroscience shows that face-to-face moments release far more bonding chemicals than anything happening on an app. In the US, where loneliness is surprisingly common despite constant online connection, the people who step away from posting tend to feel more grounded. They're the ones who show up emotionally, who listen fully, who live in the moment instead of trying to capture it. Their priorities revolve around real relationships, real memories, and real experiences. And because they're fully present, people often remember their energy more vividly. The less they document, the more others feel their authenticity. It's not that they hate social media, they just don't need it as proof of their life. Their focus is on connection, not performance. And by choosing to live rather than broadcast, they build deeper bonds that no amount of likes can match. Number 7. The hidden identity defense. Ever get that creepy feeling that the internet knows way too much about you and wonder how some people avoid it entirely? It's easy to forget how much the internet learns about you from just one photo, your location, your habits, your lifestyle, and even your social circle. That's why some people naturally activate what psychologists call the hidden identity defense. They instinctively protect their personal life from being analyzed, judged, or tracked. Every picture posted becomes data, and data becomes exposure. People who rarely post understand, even if subconsciously, that privacy equals power. They don't want algorithms writing their story or strangers forming opinions about their life. They'd rather keep their identity shaped by real experiences, not public interpretation. This mindset shows higher levels of identity awareness, meaning they know who they are without needing online confirmation. Many Americans experience what researchers call main character fatigue, where the pressure to perform online becomes exhausting. Those who rarely post avoid that entirely. They aren't hiding. They're setting boundaries. They choose what pieces of themselves the world gets to see, and that control gives them emotional stability. Their low online presence becomes a form of psychological armor, protecting their peace, their reputation, and their sense of self. And because they stay slightly out of reach, they come across as more intriguing, more mature, and more authentic. Sometimes the strongest move isn't showing everything, it's choosing what stays yours.
So if you found these insights helpful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.